Without further ado, it is my privilege to introduce the product manager for sales and marketing, who's coveted it and held it and delivered it time and time again, Erik Eide.
Hello. Did you have a nice lunch? Good. You had an introduction before lunch about the SuperOffice 2020 vision. And in the R&D department, we have to make this into the 2020 mission. That's our job, and how to deliver on that and what that means. And some of this presentation, we have half an hour, so I will talk fast, and you have to pay attention. It's quite far ahead in the future. So we have to start with something that's coming real soon, just to see that we are actually delivering everything every 3 weeks. And it's easy to miss. It's sneaking out in some release notes, or if we are lucky, into some what's new documents on our web page and stuff. So we have to keep attention and keep up to date on the product. The first thing I would like to show you are some examples of some details that's just been released. For the trained eye, you will see that this is the Windows version. And we always talk about online first, cloud first, web first. Now it's Windows first on some of these things. Just wanted to give you an insight. This time it's some examples focused on the archive. And we have added some features to the Windows client when it comes to archives. You can now right-click on the top and get and see Show Filter Control. This will enable you to add your own filters to sort every archive as you want. Here I have sales, but I only want to list sales to existing customers. Or I can use another filter and say I would always like to look at only new sales. And you can configure and change these as you want with a familiar dialog where criteria. You can change criteria, or you can add criteria as you want, making your own set of filters that will apply to every sales archive available. You also have the possibility in Sales Archive to turn off what we show a Show Total footer. And this will then give you a footer down here that will summarize, stupidly, every sale that's in this archive. So you can see it quite easy. So if I go from and back, I can go and do that. And this has been done to, let's see, let's pause it for a while, up here. Now, let's move on. We have also made it possible for a user himself to configure his navigator. I would like here to remove some web panels I never use, but I would like to say what should be the startup screen. I would like to say how this should look, what order the navigator item should be in. And I can configure this, and by logging in again, you now see that I start up on the company screen, the diary is on the top, and the 2 buttons down here are removed. And some people ask, why on earth do you spend your time doing that? And the answer is easy. People say, we have too much. You deliver too much functionality. We would like to buy the complete user plan, but we don't. This user group doesn't use this, and this feature. This user group doesn't use this feature. People always want the dashboard on top. These people always want it on the button. And that's something you should be able to decide. The administrator can go in and do it from the admin client also, through preferences and hide features, and then the user will never see them at all. But if he has access to some panels or navigator items that he would prefer not to see because he thinks it's just noise, he's able to remove them. And he is also able to sort the navigator and make default screens. So that's a few examples. Recently, you probably have seen that we have released something that we call a dashboard. Have you been experiencing playing around with it? Hands up, everyone who's familiar with how to use dashboards. Okay, just good. So a quick run through then of what it actually is. So, no. This one should play. Let's play it. Yeah, there we are. So we have the concept of dashboard. A user can very easily add a number of dashboards that he would like to do. I'll just show an example, saying current state or something. I choose a layout that I want to work with, and I have a new empty dashboard. And now I can fill it with content of tiles that we do. Here I would like to have top-selling products. In this dashboard, I would like to say win and loss rate, depending on the source of the sales coming in. Here I would like to say that my document productions against company categories. Actually, I don't want to see my document, I want to see the whole team's documents. So I can go in and say edit on the dashboard. If it's a standard tile, you will be prompted, should you copy it or would you make changes for everyone using it? I said copy, and it creates a copy of that tile. I adjust the texts. I will see, this is not only by me, it's from my team, and I don't want the period, the last 3 months, I want the whole year. I could go into further details pointing this tile to a selection, but I didn't want this in this case. I just wanted to change the default parameters, and it's visible to me at the moment. And when I say OK, you're up and running and ready to see that part of the dashboard. That's how easy it should be and is for people to change the dashboards. So, released yesterday. Are we able to? Released yesterday. How often did you want to click on that number? Okay, now you can. Now you have the drill down. You can navigate through the list of the items linked behind that to see a preview, as you know it, over there. If you really want, you can also configure the columns and the sort orders and stuff you would like for this specific tile to appear. And if you want to go into real details, the preview is enough, then you can open it directly and navigate into that sale if you would like to do that. Another interesting use case would be to say, okay, I have this chart here now. I would like to dive into this category, these gadgets that we are selling. Okay, then I get a list of all gadgets I have sold. Okay, that's a long list. Long, 38. But I can select it. I can add this to a selection. And then would you like to add it to an existing or copy a new selection? And I say, okay, let's add them to this selection, and you will get a list, predefined selections of those drill-down items. So what to do now? One example is I want to look at this list in another way. I want to look at them, what do I earn most money on? So then you can start drilling and doing stuff by transferring it into a selection and go further on that. And you can drill on and make new tiles and do stuff like that and continue. As an ad hoc tool for diving and viewing your data in a bit more user-friendly way. Did you miss the drill down feature? Yeah. I pressed 10 times a day on without anything happen, and yesterday I logged into online and pressed this, and Jesus, there it was. So it's already released for our online customers. Small examples of what we just have delivered and the level of attention to details that we have to have in a huge existing product. But of course, we have to also talk about what's cooking, which projects are currently running in the R&D department. And at the moment, the rest of the year, we are focusing on three projects. The first project is mail. People are working a lot with mail. Gisle said mail is becoming a problem. Yes, you can say that, but that's a very important channel. People send things on mail. And we have, as you know, the Outlook mail link that we used. We have analyzed our total online database. And if we count people using Google's mail service, Gmail, Office 365's mail service, and those using the Outlook mail link, we had covered almost 80% of our online users. The rest, 20%, is probably a share between internal Exchange servers or Mac users. So we will make mail links for all of them. And for those who doesn't have any of these, we will also make a new SuperOffice inbox. So if you start off with the Gmail service, you will have something like that. In your Gmail interface, you will have is there a pointer? You will have an owl or a button. Maybe not look exactly like that, but that will give you a drop-down like you have in Outlook Mailing. Should you archive this email? Would you like to look up this person? Should you create a ticket from this email? Like we do it in others. This will be shipped as a browser extension so that it will be able in the different browser stores so the user can load it. It will connect automatically if SuperOffice is active in the browser to the right SuperOffice connection, and you can have it right away. And this doesn't require Gmail for the professional. It's any Gmail account that can do this. Yeah?
What about mailing for the mobile client? Because you should open the emails in your mobile.
Yeah, I see that. We have that also on a list. I will not talk about it today, but the inbox available in Pocket CRM is a topic that we are looking at. When you go from your Gmail and are going to send something, you will have the same feature here. So when you would like to send and save it to SuperOffice, you will have a button beside the send button. So you decide, should I send it or should I save it or should I not when you send it. So that's an example on how we will address mail integrations with the most common mail services out there. And Gmail and Office 365 is by far the largest web-based email providers for our customers, at least. Okay, so for those who don't want the mail link, you will have to continue with the inbox. And people say, oh, the inbox. So we have launched a project using the Skeel technology that Guttorm was mentioning to make our current inbox faster, higher, and stronger. So the main goal is to have a more modern-looking email client with approximately the same amount of feature plus some additional to archive requests and stuff, but it will go fast. The goal is to have it go lightning fast. And we call it like this in R&D, it's the SuperOffice inbox on mild steroids. The Norwegian cross-country skiers knows this, Mark. They know what we are talking about. And we imagine that the new inbox will look this way. So you will have a more simplified, easy to use, easy to navigate folders, easy to filter, sort, do the things you normally do in an email client. We are not trying to compete with Google. We are not trying to compete with Office 365 when it comes to email functionality. But we would like a really snappy, sexy, easy email client that specializes in interacting with SuperOffice. That's the main goal. The next thing that's actually cooking is a totally new set of functionality and totally new set of functional area for SuperOffice. Not functional, yeah, functional area. And that's what we call the chat client. We are developing a chat client for SuperOffice, meaning that you can define chat widget, place them on your website, and interact with SuperOffice users in the SuperOffice interface, either as a service user or a sales user. They're interesting to both parties. You will, of course, be able to configure your widgets, make them look like they are yours with your images, fonts, logos, stuff like that. You can have multiple channels because some people are working on Swedish support and others are using English sales. So you can have different channels, as we call them, for incoming chat requests, and an agent, that's the SuperOffice user sitting answering all the incoming things, can be a part of all one or more channel. We'll get back to the details on that. I just want to give you early warnings on it. We'll of course have notification. As an agent, you will have access to the same things you have in service today, like FAQs, reply templates, all of these things very easily, attachments and so on. And we will, since we are inside SuperOffice and are chatting with someone, and if we know who that is, then we can do lots of integrated feature sets. Let me show you an example. So this is how I learned some new PowerPoint tricks yesterday. This is how we imagine that the new user interface will look at. On the left side, you have all your ongoing chats. Here is the chat you are currently working on. And here is information about the person you're chatting with. That's how we see it. You have actions like archive this as a request, transfer this to another agent, do these kind of things. Here you can see someone has transferred something to me that I need to look into. If there are, in this example, this email, this guy has told us his email address. It could be one of these three because the duplicates. Jesus, I hate it. So if I click one of them, we will look it up and start to show information like that. Okay, what is the open requests that we have? What are the sales, recent sales or open sales? What kind of follow-ups do we have on this contact? What are the previous chats we have had with this guy? So we can give that information directly into the user interface to the user, making it as efficient as possible to do chats. And of course, you can go into the admin client to define your chat. Here is how we see the opening panel, where you have, in this case, 3 chat channels. Each channel will result in a small JavaScript you have to paste into your web page in order for that to pop up and see. And you can go into that specific channel and define, okay, some properties, what agents should be there, how should a widget look like. Do you want an offline form? That means if no one is available, it should offer to archive things as a request to either the service department or sales department. Should you require a pre-chat form? That's filling in your name and email address before being able to ask a question. Should you have a post-chat form that people can ask for, give me a resume of this chat on by email and stuff like that? So there are several kinds of things you can do individually per channel. And that's the 3 projects currently cooking in R&D. And hopefully we will manage to reach these goals early in February and ship it then in online first. That should be good. Okay, now I have been on topic. The vision has not been defined. We have already done this or are about to close it. So that's, you could say, okay, the vision and the topic that we got was you should work with these actually 5 areas, but then, as always, but you cannot forget you also need to do this and this and this, so that's in the other functional areas. You could say chat is easily added to service automation topic. You could say that the inbox and email, improved email handling, is into the office automation handling. So there are, not off track, but there are early steps. When it comes to other functional areas, we have defined them also. So we have to continue to strive and work with UI improvements. Meaning people are telling us it's a bit hard to create a selection. I don't get all these criteria and add and stuff. You need to do that better. Okay, then we need to dive into that. And there are, people say it's hard to create a booking in Pocket and invite 2 people. I agree, that's quite hard. So you need to look into that. So that's what I mean on examples, on improving what we have. We will also have to work and deliver a new version of the ERP sync and quote management. That's basically improving also what we have, saying that you now have to be able to synchronize lists between ERP systems and SuperOffice, resync without, when backup is restored, do a lot of things like that. That's important to us. People are asking for budgets. They have a dashboard, and they can see nice charts, but they cannot compare it to anything. They can compare it to last year or my colleague or whatever, but they would really like to add budget into it. So we need to see how can we, in an easy way, add budgets to dashboards. Social CRM is a dark hole for us at the moment. Social CRM is typically a topic divided into 2. It's an internal news feed sort of community thing that is used internal in a company, like Slack, for example, that people use CRM data to say, oh, I have this sale now, can anyone give me a tip, or this ticket is very hard, oh, and another one goes in and says, I sold this last week and I can help you, like a Facebook for your company for CRM. That's one area that we could dive into. The other one is more interacting with social platforms, like LinkedIn, like Facebook, like Twitter, to push, as we do, extend service with tickets coming in through these channels, with making, launching campaigns onto these kind of things, triggering usage of those data into SuperOffice. So this area is quite large, and we will have to pick some of them and do that in the next coming year to be able to talk intelligence about it. As Guttorm said, we have to build some features into the privacy. We call them privacy feature, meaning you should be able to do a group change on the selection of any field. Or you should be able to anonymize all data of this field type through a selection. You should be able to group delete parts, but maybe not the whole history, but some of the history, or these are different use cases from time to time. You should be able to tag field, as Guttorm said, as sensitive data, so that you can focus on them in particular. You should be able to offer a audience-like kind of application where the customer can go in and request, I want to see my data, and then gives you the data that you have on this customer. So there are feature sets into the privacy feature, and as we say, there is a law coming, and people and big customers especially are already asking for these feature sets. Notification is also a topic that I will come back to quite soon. But that's when the big topic, as you saw it, was automation. Automation, robots, things like that. This is what I know about robots. And I wouldn't buy from this guy, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't have a choice. You have to buy from me. So this guy. But when diving a bit into it, this is actually code we are talking about. And then yes, I can relate to that. Something you can make software, call it wherever you like, and the buzzwords are coming in over us, as Guttorm said. 6 months ago, every one of these would hit my bullshit detector and just been thrown out. It's no longer that case. The industry is massively pushing it. Salesforce are introducing Salesforce on Einstein, artificial intelligence for everyone. It's an interesting thing when they launch it. I haven't digged into the detail of what it actually is. They probably don't know it themselves, but they have launched it. Microsoft is doing the same thing. They bought LinkedIn. They have to use that data for something. So this is a topic that the industry is pushing for, the larger customers is pushing for, especially it flows in from Trumpland, these kind of requests. So we have to start digging into it and know what it is. And this guy is to blame for the whole thing. This is the guy who never wants to talk to a salesman unless he asks for it. So cold calling, how to be a salesman is no longer the same business as it used to be. These kind of posts are posted all over the internet. This guy said, I will never hire a sales guy anymore. The only thing he wants is salary, and he doesn't do anything else because marketing has been taking over most of the traditional cold calling, canvas, walking, knocking on doors sales job. So the part that is related to marketing has increased tremendously in today's situation when it comes to business, due to the amount of information people use the internet for. And on the other hand, CX organization pushes the other way, because more and more companies are taking care of existing customers to customer experience teams that are working in a different way than the salespeople does. So focusing on making the best tools in the world for salespeople, we have to give focus to other processes as well, at least to marketing processes and to service processes. And yeah, give me this robot and these buzzwords and sit down and find out what to do. Yeah, that's easier said than done. But we do it as we always do it. We do it the SuperOffice way. We create a set of tools that is just enough for most people. And if you need more, sure, invite this guy and this guy and this guy and build what you want, or replace us with this process with another process. We don't care. We deliver what we think out of the box, pre-configured, ready to use for you as a user this way. So, by the way, what we mean concrete with the terms automation can dive into these 4 areas. And we have to keep in mind that the normal SuperOffice user is not a rocket scientist. It's not to talk them down, it's not their job. Jan is saying, oh, Erik, you have to know this at least, but this has to do with combined selection. Yeah, that's correct. But jokes aside, it's important that most people do not have a master degree in marketing automation in every country, in every company in the world. You have to fit this, our offering, against an easy to understand and simple set of tools that everyone can use. That's the big challenge. What's just enough? So we said, we need some new bricks to the SuperOffice concept. And you can use those bricks in your sales process, or in your marketing process, or in your service processes. The tools are generic, and we can combine them out of the box, aimed at marketing or aimed at service, but you should be able to cross-use them again throughout the system. And the first thing we will do is we will introduce the concepts from mailings to drip mailings, or campaigns, as most people say. That's all about defining 5 emails that should be sent when something happened. The user gets the first email, and after a period that you define, he will get the second email, and after a period again, he will get the third email. if he didn't opt out or jumped off to another campaign or clicked a link that maybe should result in that you will get the next email in 2 days instead of 2 weeks. So those are the kind of what we call campaigns, or that's usually called drip mailings, that is used to send out to an individual user in a certain frequency or schedule. The second thing is we also need to be able for people to interact with your company without having someone sitting at the phone registering the data you talk about. We have to build what we call web forms and include that with the forms designer in SuperOffice. So you should be able to create your own forms, like I would like this white paper on this one, put that as a link in an email or as a button on your web page, or what do I know, as an iframe on your web page, that will give you a form that the user we can pre-fill if we think we know who you are, or you can fill out and submit, and the data will be captured by SuperOffice. And in addition, when you press submit on this kind of forms, we can do many things. We can do all the things you can do when pressing a link in marketing today. Create a sale, change the contact, add the person, add to project, take away from a selection, all these kind of things. You can also do by hooking on to events in buttons in these forms. We will have to improve and make even more customer-facing software. It's easy to say our customer center for service people. We will have to make a new version of that based on another technology that's easier to change, easier to customize, easier to design, but also moving on from that when it comes to collaboration. There's no way you should send a quote by an email to a person and he opens it and calls you, I want it. It can send an email with a link that goes into a customer-facing version of that quote, and he can comment on it and ask questions, and you can have a dialogue through this page, and when he's finally finished, he can say, I want to buy. And then something happens on the other side, in the CRM side, because of that. So more customer-facing portals or more customer-facing software is also an important brick that we need to deliver. What you want to use it for is up to you or the customer, but we need to have that brick in place in order to grow in the automation field. Notification is also important, at least to becoming more friendly, but also if everything is happening behind your back by intelligent software, you need to be notified maybe if you should do something. So we need to address the topic of notification cross-device, on your phone, on your PC, on your iWatch or Apple Watch or whatever. Without being inside the SuperOffice interfaces, you should, as a user, be able to abonnere? Subscribe, thank you, to the events you would like to be notified about. I would like to be notified when someone asks me to approve a quote. I would like SuperOffice to notify me when someone has registered a request on one of my VIP customers. I would like SuperOffice to notify me when I'm invited to a meeting. That's an easy one. But that should go cross-device, and particularly interesting on mobile platforms. And again, the topic of visualizing and notifying people should go across, but this has to do, we need to build more flexible software to pick up on the things that you want to react on. Again, if everything is happening behind my back, I need to be able to monitor and see the state, that everything is okay, or some warnings that I should take actions on. So we will continue to build on the same concept and the dashboard concepts to include more functionality like that. And last but not least, this does not mean that we will make an integration to Zapier. That's not what this said. But Zapier is used as an example that many people know, that we need to build not only the possibility to script and program things with SuperOffice, but have wizards that can do things. A user can more or less create workflows inside SuperOffice based on wizard-based trigger dialogues. So that's the 6th block that we think is important. And with these 6 blocks, I think we have an offering that you could, and we will pre-shrink and wrap it and make it examples on default usage, but it will be a tool set for everyone. And the most important thing is that we need to leave room for you guys. If someone wants to make this Swiss Army knife, or the customer say, I want that kind of knife because I really need that pair of scissors over there, then yes, we would like to help you do that. We offer to remove our own functionality so that you can replace it with yours. Take away mailings, insert your module. Take away projects, insert it with another module. And we make it possible to do that. But we, at any time, we want to like to own the SuperOffice data. We would like to own sales, we would like to own requests, we would like to own contacts, and we would like to own appointments and documents. We would like to have those data into SuperOffice. So the minute we are moving those key data out of SuperOffice, we are saying, we don't make things for that. That's the reason why you cannot remove the calendar or the company card from the navigator in this version. So some things we want to keep, but we would like to do that. So our question now is, of course, how can we help you making these tools understandable and flexible and train you and help you in making the right feature sets in these tools? And I think Sverre has some very good news for you on a tool he would like to offer you. So, Sverre, come on.
Testing, testing, hello. So, good day everyone. Are you still awake? Yeah? You know, that the double lunch with a couple of glasses of wine and you're still holding out. I have 42 slides, only text, no pictures. Isn't the cloud fantastic? I mean, the cloud is great, right? Cloud is just awesome. Now everything is online. Does everyone here think that is great? Maybe, or maybe not. I'm thinking to some of you guys, you know, this is the cloud. Because honestly, you can't access that server anymore. You know, it's in our cloud, it's protected. You cannot run your own executables. We don't allow you to do that in our cloud. And you can't reach that database, right? So you have been limited to some extent. And the customers, they still want customization. So that leaves you a bit in a tight spot, right? And these are kind of obvious limitations because, I mean, with the cloud, not everyone is running their own private car. It's kind of like, you know, it's a bus, it's a public transportation system. There are sharing resources. You can't behave any way you like in a bus, in contrast to in your car. And so we need a way to let you deploy your custom code to our cloud in a safe and controlled manner. That would be awesome if we had something like that. We have something like that. It's called EJScript. So who in this room have you heard about EJScript before? Some of you guys, yeah? Any of you guys have been developing in EJScript before? Yeah, some hands. So just to get everyone on board, EJScript is a scripting language that we brought along from eJournal, and it looks like this. And you can, you know, you don't need Visual Studio. You are sitting inside your browser. You're opening a dialog, and you can write code. You can access all the entities that are well known in our system. So you can create a ticket, a request. You can access the complete API of NetServer. And you're doing all of this in the browser. So honestly, I think this is the way to customize an online cloud solution, right? And let me just differentiate. If you want to create an app, that's a different thing, right? Then you will be sitting in Visual Studio and you will program and develop and you will have it in your own cloud. But if you just want to customize one particular customer's installation because they want a button that does something, then this is a very good way to go. I mean, it's an embedded, it's what Guttorm called, it's a language ready for the cloud. because it's running inside our own box. We control the language. You can't really do much dangerous with it. We have complete control. So that is a very good thing. So I think this is the best way to configure the whole CRM solution. But every now and then when we go out and we talk to customers and they say, yeah, you can fix that with EJ script. With what? With EJ script. What's EJ? Well, you know, it used to be, yeah. So if this is going to be the language that we're going to use to customize the whole CRM system, we need to change the name, right? Yeah, well, you know what? Honestly, what does it do, right? It's a scripting language for CRM. And I'm going to say the wrong name, at least for a couple of years anyway, but from now on, officially, this is CRM script. And those of you who feel a bit raw about this, because, you know, you have EJ script on your resume as one of your skills, so we have some candy to sugar the whole thing. Just say that CRM script is EJ script next version, so it's a bit cooler. And the rest of my presentation is incredibly technical, but you know, I'm a geek and this is Expanded World, so I thought we can do it here, I hope. Those of you who find it too boring, please fall asleep, just be quiet about it, because this is really geeky stuff, okay? So, but I hope you'll manage. So I was visiting a partner not too long ago, and they were saying, you know, yeah, we sit most of the day and we develop an EJ script, and this is the user interface of EJ script, and it is not very advanced. It's just a text box. And there's a lot of white, right? And that's very exhausting for the eyes to look at all that white. So the really biggest change that we have done now in the latest version, I think is pretty awesome. It is now black. And the reason it is black is because we have used something called CodeMirror. CodeMirror is a JavaScript library for a developing editor. So, as you can see, now suddenly we have color syntaxing. We have indentation, so that if I start writing a for loop, and I mean, we didn't create this stuff. This is you know, this editor comes with it, but if you create a for loop, then suddenly what you start writing then is automatically indented. Same thing happens also when you move down to the next line. It keeps that indentation. And as we go along, we can indent even further. I told you it was geeky stuff, right? But the fact of the matter is that a lot of people are sitting day in and day out and working on editing CRM scripts. So giving them a better editor kind of makes sense. And how many times haven't you, you know, you have 10 lines and you want to indent them and you go space, space, down, space, space, down, space, space, down. But now it's a bit easier. You can just, you know, I'm going to have a bracket, a scope around this. So we just mark that whole area and tab it in. So, very small, subtle changes, but I think an editor is cool. Also, did the video stop? Also, you can see that you get those small, I totally crashed, I think. Let's see. You get those small arrows on the right-hand side, the left-hand side there, which means the editor gives you folding, right? So you can fold text up and down to show more and less of your code. Let's do another example. Here I'm inside, I'm editing a large block of CRM script. And we have also changed how we save the scripts. So saving now, you see I've removed a couple of lines, and saving now is done using Ajax. It's done in the background. It's not a complete repost. So it keeps the line position. It keeps the undo buffer, so I can just undo, get back the lines I just deleted, throw in some new line, and then go save again. And I'm not moved back to the top first line of that code I was editing. Small details, but I think if you're working with CRM script, then this is kind of nice. The background save also allow us to give you better feedback if you do something incorrect. So if I write something wrong here, and you press apply, it gives you an error message right where that error is. So I hope this will make it a bit easier to program. How many of you guys have used CRM script or EJ script to work with the Net Server API? Some of you guys. I think currently there's around 7,000 functions in that API. So I'm sure you have memorized them all. But in case you haven't, how about getting some integrated documentation into the editor, right? That would be nice, instead of having to go to the community and look at the API. So now if you type something and you press Control space, you will get a list of methods. If you start using some Net Server entities, here you have all of those. I'm going to go with the person agent. I'm going to create an instance of that agent, and then I'm going to go agent dot control space, and I get all the methods for that particular agent. So I think that could speed up the editing experience a little bit. So these are some tools. Yeah, it keeps going. These are some tools that will help you program a bit better, or make it easier to program. So another difficult thing when you're using our scripting language to modify our CRM system is that, okay, so you create that script and you pray to God and you click play and something happens, but it's kind of difficult to figure out what happens because that script is running and it's kind of a black box, right? Has anyone here used the good old integrated debugger that is part of this system? Yeah, so a few hands, right? Not the best debugger around. So we fixed that as well. So now the debugger is completely changed. And one of the most annoying part of the debugger before was that if you wanted to debug a script, you actually had to change the script first, right? You had to put in some debug lines in it, which means that in a production environment, you would start up by, okay, I'm going to edit this script, press save, and hope that everyone else who's using the script in this big organization is going to be fine, which is not a very good way of debugging, right? You want to debug a script without, breaking it for everyone else working on it. So if you go to the debugger now, it looks like this. You can click Start Tracing Scripts there. And now it will start tracing scripts for you only in your browser. So everyone else can use the system, nothing changes. But for you, it will start tracing, which means that I will just go ahead and do something like create a request, blah, blah, blah. Press OK. Now I'm going back to the debugger, and it shows me all the scripts that has been executed while I have been tracing. Right? So now I can see, okay, so these are the scripts that were executed. And then I'm going to go in and look at one of them, because I want to debug that load script. And here's the source code of that load script. And I'm going to set a breakpoint there. Then I'm going to go back here and go new request. And what happens is the system is just hanging. Back to the debugger, and we can see it's waiting at the breakpoint. And then you can step through the script and see variables and see the execution path while that other browser window is just waiting. You can create new breakpoints, and you can just run to them. And then finally, when you're happy, you go run to the end. And not until then will that new request show up in the other browser. Up until now, it has been hanging. And so this allows you to just very easily go in and debug a screen while everyone else is using it, not noticing any change. If you want to debug a standard script, like one of these guys, it's even easier. You just go to the list of the scripts, and instead of clicking play, you click debugger. It will open the debugger, but it will also run that script in the background, meaning that you can just go in and step and look how it's executing. You can see all the information, all the messages on the right-hand side there telling you what the script is doing. So hopefully this will help you, and you can even stop it and it will abort right there. So hopefully this will help you open up a bit the black box of scripting, because now suddenly you get some more insight into what is going on. So, moving on, I think I need to hurry up a bit. Are there any news in the language? We actually also introduced some new features in the language, in order to be able to call it CRM script. So first of all, let me show you if you are a lot of services today or where you're working with REST and JSON. And so creating a good JSON is something that I know people do every now and then. And so we have a new class called the JSON Builder. And in the documentation, it actually has example codes. You can just click there, and it pastes in that code. And this is a class that allows you to very easily build a complete JSON structure by adding arrays, adding objects, setting integers, strings, and so forth. And it will give you a guaranteed good JSON, right? Now, EJScript, was started many years ago, and it was meant for smaller scripts, and it has grown. And with it has also grown the need to manage data inside the script. And consequently, we have introduced also another new feature here, which are structs. And so the thing is, if you're working with data inside scripts and you want to have, you want to keep track of a person, for instance, and you have a person with a first name and a last name and age and so forth, and you want to store that in variables, but you're going to have a lot of variables, and then maybe you want multiple persons, and that's going to be kind of difficult. And you could use JSON structures, but JSON structures are great for communicating with other systems, not so great inside this system. So this is how a struct works. Basically, you can just declare it. Anyone who's been working with a C-like language would probably recognize this. I create a person struct, I give a name, age, and that's it. I can then instantiate a person, P, and I can access all those variables just like you would assume on a normal struct. And they work just like you would assume if you want to print them out. Let's see. I'm typing too slow. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And execute. And so it prints out the contents of that struct. Honestly, nothing very amazing here, only that we have clustered a couple of variables inside the struct. Now, moving on a little bit, making it a little bit more advanced, you can, of course, a struct is just like any other data type in CRM script. So I'm going to create an array of those structs, a crowd containing persons, right? And then I'm going to create a couple of persons in that crowd. 3 people are a crowd. And so we don't have a good function that gives you a random name, so I'm just going to use the make password, which means they will get funny names, but that works. And a random age between 20 and 40. And then I'm going to push that one single person at the back of the crowd array. And since I'm doing this 3 times, we will get a crowd array with 3 persons in it. I'm going to loop that array and print it out. So I told you this was going to be pretty geeky stuff, right? Is this okay? Are you guys still following? Yeah. So something like this, and if we execute it, we get 3 persons out, as expected, with a name and an age. So we almost have built a new CRM system inside our script, right? Sometimes you need more advanced structures. So you can create, of course, any number of structs. They are all just different data types. So I'll create an email address struct, like this. Every email address has an alias, and then the real address. And then a person can have any number of addresses, right? So I'm going to create an array of email addresses on the person struct. And then, as you would assume, down here, when I'm creating a person, I can instantiate an email address, add that to the person, and we're building hierarchical structures of data in memory. I think you can understand where this is going, so I'm just going to skip forward. You can see here I'm just playing around with the address and so forth. But you can see you can create multiple structures and tie them together, right? And it makes it a lot easier inside your script to keep track of this data. So how do we tie this together with JSON and arrays? Because I think that structs are, like I said, are very convenient inside a script where you want to manipulate data, but then maybe you want to talk with the outside world. Very often you want to. And then JSON is a very standard structure or way of notation of doing that. So I'm going to go and remove that stuff at the bottom there. And instead, I'm going to use the JSON builder I showed you. And so instantiating the JSON builder, and I can, on any struct or any array now, you can call toJSON, and it will take all its content and put it inside a JSON structure. So you can work strongly typed with the structure in your script and go to structure. So if you want to talk with some REST site over there or something, then you can work with these strongly typed local entities, and then you can just, boom, stream them over to JSON. What about the other way around? That could be interesting too, right? So here I have created a JSON structure of some persons with various number of, with age and some email addresses. And then, let's see, I'm going to go inside my script, and I'm going to fetch this. And this is how you would typically do it, right? You would use the HTTP object of our scripting language, and I want to get that JSON structure over HTTP as a typical REST, print it out, and you can see, so, okay, inside my script, I'm now getting this JSON structure, right? And you can imagine you would be going to some kind of weather service or Google or wherever, getting data as JSON. Now, instead of just printing it out, I'm going to tell my structure, or in this case, actually my array of structs, to populate itself from that JSON structure. So you can take any JSON structure and map it into your local structs. I'm just adding some code here that prints it out, and so that JSON structure just got downloaded over HTTP, put it inside my array of persons with email addresses, and then print it out. So, that was pretty geeky, but I think it's also quite powerful. Okay, moving on. Has any one of you guys ever used a totally different feature now? Has any one of you ever used MailChimp? Yeah. Do you know, this is the image they have for when you want to send emails. And I think it's pretty cool because that's kind of the feeling, I have 10,000 emails. Do I dare to send them, right? And to some extent, this is also what happens if you are with the customer and they have, there's something wrong with the script here. Could you please fix it? And you fix it, and then you want to go to the save button, and you know that there are 100 people in this business who's using this script, right? So you're a bit afraid of saving it because you know it will take effect for everyone. So let's do an example. Here we have the edit ticket screen. I'm going to go into the screen to edit it. And I'm going to go into the loading script. And so I'm going to modify the script of this, live production system. So the customer wants to set a particular title value for the request or, whatnot. And if you see at the bottom, there's a button called Stage. So instead of saving, I'm going to stage, which means it's saved, but on the server, it will only be executed by me, none of the other people. And so I go into new request, and you can see I get a warning that I have staged scripts, and you can see that the script has taken effect for me only. So none of the other users are seeing this. If I go back and cancel it, then I will revert to the default behavior. If I press save, then first it will take effect for everyone else. So this allows you to tinker around with scripts and checking that they work before you put them into effect for everyone else using that system. So, I think we have a decent portfolio of some new features here that will help you using this scripting language to customize installations. But what about sales, right? Because all this scripting stuff is in service. So we have, at the office, we have a proof of concept. We have a prototype that works, but it's not launch ready yet. But what we have been testing and what I hope we will be able to offer you reasonably soon, quite soon, I hope, are CRM script event handlers for saving entities in the sales and marketing client. And so basically, I've already played around with it. So you can edit the sale, you change the price, and you try to press save, and the CRM script will be executed, and it can do stuff such as block the save. It can show a message. It can update specific values. It can navigate somewhere else. It can open dialogue, and of course everything else in CRM scripts, just as sending an email, creating a request, creating an appointment, and all the stuff like that. So hopefully coming quite soon. And that's it.